The age-old question. Should you use Succession or Awakening? Which one is better? In this video, I will do a general overview of both skill sets. After we have a rough understanding of what they are capable of, I will also unravel their advantages and disadvantages in PvE and PvP. As always, I have timestamps up, so you can jump around the video however you like. Let's start with Awakening, since it was released first. Awakening Warrior is an extremely mobile skirmish class that has high damage and is capable of bombing with his 50% and 100%. While playing Awakening doesn't require that much skill per se, the skill ceiling is incredibly high on it, which is made even clearer when looking at the top Awakening players compared to normal ones. This could be a good or a bad thing depending on what your goals are in the game, but properly learning Awakening takes time and effort. It is also very rewarding to learn it, since making proper use of the skill set's mechanics will yield very good results. It has a very high combo potential with tons of skills to choose from. The class has dozens of optimal combos, unlike most classes that only have a few. Awakening is also known to look very stylish, with tons of meme skills to use in your combos. The skill set also has an insane amount of ways to pull off outplays. Part of this is the reason why warriors were just known as BA rats for the longest time. If you're into Node Wars, Awakening is an amazing class for flank, although it requires lots of skill to pull off properly, and it's alright for main blobs if the player is less skilled. While this all sounds good and all, there's a catch. Making proper use of mechanics, such as Q cancelling, is very difficult at lower frames. It is still possible to pull off some of these mechanics, like balance strike Q cancelled into reckless blow, but it is much harder than doing it with high frame rates. This shouldn't stop you from playing Awakening, but it is something to be wary of. Awakening's gaps are also way worse than Succession's. Skills, such as Gravedigg and Slashing the Dead, have been messed up for a while, and in the beginning and the end, there are gaps in it. If you are a new player, it pretty much means you can be CC'd in these gaps, even though the skill itself was supposed to be protected from such things. You could have probably guessed by now, but the class requires very high APM to pull off at higher levels. While for my ADHD this is a good thing, I'm well aware that for some it can be quite a big no-no. Succession is like a laid-back, but still very powerful brother of the Awakening Warrior. While it is less mobile, with less chances to make reactive plays, it's a lot more leisurely to play it. The skill ceiling of the skill set is a lot lower, making it a very good choice for new players or those of you who just want to have a casual experience with the game. This doesn't mean that Succession Warrior is very weak though. With enough practice and skill, it can still compete with Awakening in lots of ways. More on this a bit later. While this is ping reliant, I've personally found Succession's iframes to be more reliable. This skill set also doesn't rely as much on high frame rate as Awakening does. It scales well with FPS, don't get me wrong, but its mechanics are easier to pull off. A very big advantage of Succession is the super armor grab that it has. In Awakening, for example, every time you go for a grab, it's a very risky play, since there is a high chance that you will be CC'd in a grab. Succession though can very easily grab whenever they desire due to it being protected. This makes them very good frontliners, since in my eyes, Awakening Warriors aren't really a frontliner class. Also the fact that they are a bit tankier thanks to the DP that you get from passives. Less of a reliance on FPS also means you can play at a higher graphical fidelity without it being a setback for your performance. The combo potential is a lot lower compared to Awakening. And with the standardization of adamantines, Succession combos have a hard time of adapting, since before they relied solely on knockdown. It's less mobile, making it harder to escape situations and to outplay someone with good movement. Doesn't function as well in a flank as Awakening does, due to a more limited skill set. Not having a strong 100% and 50% makes it harder to bomb as a Succession Warrior. The skill set also has lower accuracy modifiers overall, making it harder to deal with evasion targets. While also having less variety in their combos, this can be a big deal breaker for some. It is less stylish overall if you care about that at all. Succession has a higher grab cooldown, which can really make some 1v1 matchups outright boring, since a lot of the times you will be stalling for your grab to be available again, and if you miss you are in the stalling cycle. Succession's E buff is, I would say, worse than Awakening's. The accuracy it provides is pretty good to deal with evasion targets, but the attack speed and movement you get from Awakening is a lot better in my eyes. At this point, it's important to talk about the two versions of Succession Warrior. There is traditional Succession Warrior and Lingering Crit Succession Warrior. There are already some videos out there explaining the differences between them, but I can make a follow-up guide on this topic if people wanna hear it in my voice, you know. For PvE, what is better, Succession or Awakening? It's crucial that we talk about different grind spots, since they perform quite differently based on where you are grinding. Awakening is very strong early on, and with enough FPS, outgrind Succession in spots like Histria and Starzan. Spots below Histria I wouldn't really bother what to pick, since both of these skill sets do decently well in them. In endgame spots, such as Underwater Sakraya, or the new spots like Turos or Golems, Lingering Crit Succession is actually faster than Awakening. Succession also achieves this while requiring less inputs per second, so not only is it faster, it's also way more chill to grind with. So if you're only interested in high-end grinding, I would suggest Succession Warrior. But it is also important to note that in most spots, both skill sets are very close to each other in grinding speed. So in the end, try out both and see which one you prefer. I for one used to despise Succession, and I kept grinding with Awakening for a year. But after I tried out Succession, it fit my goals perfectly, for grinding, at least. A more laid-back experience. Now, it's no secret, but Awakening Warrior is just really fucking good in 1v1s. It can basically deal with every single class's kit, if played right. So it's not gonna be a huge surprise to most of you, but 1v1 is gonna be a big L for Succession. After playing Awakening for so long, playing 1v1s and having half your tools for CC and for mobility being cut in half kinda sucks, which is part of the reason why I prefer Awakening for 1v1s. I've mentioned this already, but Succession can feel quite awkward at times because of the huge reliance on grab, but with anything BDO related, it doesn't mean you can't make it work. Kisito is a warrior on EU that I would never in my life would want to fight on his Succession Warrior, but overall I would recommend Awakening. Partly because of the stylish combos that it has, but mostly because of the performance that you can achieve with enough practice. I've touched on this a bit before, but both of them perform about the same in Largescale. Awakening is more suited for a skirmish or flank style, and traditional Succession does well in main blobs. Awakening also has the ability to bomb with his 50% or 100%, but honestly I would only use 50% because it's better value per BSR. But neither of them are extremely strong in the current meta of, Succession Wizards. This one comes down to whatever you want. I personally prefer Awakening here, like anything PvP related. And I hate saying this, but I really feel the need to etch this into your brain. Despite what is better in certain aspects of the game, there is nothing wrong with choosing the worst option. BDO is a game, it's about enjoying yourself. If you prefer one or the other, there is no reason to force yourself to play something you wouldn't enjoy. Thanks for watching, lads. If you made it this far, why not consider subbing? Your boy would appreciate it. I also stream on weekends nowadays on Twitch. Come say hi. Next video is probably gonna be a gearing guide for warriors, so see you then. Alright, bye bye.